In a valley embraced by towering mountains and shrouded in morning mist, the people lived in harmony with the rhythms of nature. They planted their crops by the moon's phases, offered prayers for rain, and held a deep respect for the thunder. Tales were told of a magnificent creature, the Thunderbird, whose wings spanned the sky, serving as a guardian of the delicate balance between storm and calm. For generations, its name was merely a soft whisper in bedtime stories, embodying wonder and enigma. Yet, as summers became scorching and storms raged with relentless fury, those ancient tales began to awaken once again. High above, beyond the clouds, something old and powerful stirred. Meanwhile, in the heart of a curious boy named Toma, questions began to bubble up, questions that the elders refused to answer, and dreams that felt too real to dismiss. As the winds changed and shadows danced across the sky, Toma found himself pulled into a narrative as old as time itself, where thunder conveyed messages, and a single boy's bravery could alter the destiny of an entire land. Chapter 1: Whispers in the Sky. The valley was peaceful under a bright blue sky, but the tranquility was interrupted by distant thunder that rolled through the air like a whispered secret. The villagers paused their daily routines, their gazes drawn to the mountains as if searching for answers among the clouds. This wasn't the typical rumble of an approaching storm, it felt deeper, more ancient, a sound that awakened long-forgotten memories. Elders huddled in small circles, speaking softly about the Thunderbird, the mythical bird of thunder and lightning that once soared through the skies. It had been ages since anyone claimed to have seen it, and most had brushed off the tales as mere folklore. Yet now, the skies seemed to be speaking once more, reminding them of the delicate balance between the earth and the elements that had been disrupted. Children listened with wide eyes as their parents recounted stories of the powerful creature whose wings could summon storms or soothe the fiercest gales. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very land was holding its breath. High above, concealed behind layers of clouds, the Thunderbird stirred, its essence intertwined with the thunder that resonated through the valley. Chapter 2: The Boy Who Listened. Toma was a quiet boy, often found sitting under the sprawling branches of the great oak tree at the village's edge, gazing up at the sky with wide, contemplative eyes. While everyone else rushed by, caught up in their daily routines, Toma seemed to be in tune with the very wind itself. At night, when the world fell silent, he could hear whispers carried on the breeze, soft voices calling to him from far beyond the mountains. His dreams were filled with unusual sounds, the crackle of thunder, the rustle of feathers, and the distant thrum of enormous wings. Sometimes, he would wake up feeling a cool rush of air, as if the sky had brushed against him. The villagers noticed his peculiar fascination but kept their comments to themselves, for Toma was unlike the other children. He listened intently when the elders recounted the old legends, even though they urged him to forget such stories. Yet, despite their warnings, Toma felt an unexplainable connection. The voices in the wind grew louder with each passing day, beckoning him toward the mountains where the clouds loomed thick and heavy. Deep down, he sensed that something powerful was stirring, and that his life was on the brink of a monumental change. Chapter 3: The Storm Gathers. As summer wore on, the skies darkened more and more each day. What used to be a gentle drizzle had turned into heavy downpours, flooding the fields and washing away the crops that the villagers relied on. Rivers overflowed their banks, and the wind carried a restless energy that made even the sturdiest trees bend and creak. A sense of dread settled over the valley like a thick fog. The villagers murmured about the return of the Thunderbird, but no one dared to voice their fears aloud. Many attributed the bizarre storms to angry spirits or broken promises from long ago. Toma observed the changes with increasing worry, feeling the weight of the storm not just in the air but deep in his heart. He sought out the village elders, hoping they could offer some guidance. The elders, their faces lined with the marks of time, shared tales of an ancient balance between the earth and the sky. They spoke of scrolls hidden deep within the mountains, filled with wisdom that had been forgotten by most. Toma realized he had to uncover those secrets. The storms were more than just bad weather, they were a warning. If the balance was to be restored, someone needed to heed the thunder and respond to its call. Chapter 4: flight of feathers. Toma found himself climbing higher than he ever thought possible, his feet sure on the rocky trails that twisted up the mountainside. The air became thinner and cooler, and thick clouds began to swirl around him like a living curtain. When he finally reached the edge of a steep cliff, he paused, breathless from both the climb and the breathtaking view. Before him, the sky erupted in a stunning display of lightning and shadow. A colossal figure emerged from the storm, a bird larger than anything he had ever envisioned. Its feathers sparkled with electric sparks, and its eyes radiated ancient wisdom. The Thunderbird had returned. Surprisingly, Toma felt no fear. The creature's gaze conveyed a message of both warning and hope. It communicated without words, revealing the fractured harmony between the sky and the earth, the harm inflicted by careless hands and forgotten respect. Toma understood that the storm was not merely a force of destruction but a call for change. He had been chosen to listen, to comprehend, and perhaps to take action. Chapter 5, Secrets of the Wind. The air around Toma buzzed with the presence of the Thunderbird, and in the stillness that followed each thunderclap, it felt as if the bird was sharing an ancient tale. Once upon a time, the skies and the earth existed in perfect harmony. The winds carried sweet promises, the rains nurtured the land, and the seasons flowed together in a beautiful dance. But as time passed, greed and carelessness shattered that sacred connection. Toma leaned in, captivated, as the Thunderbird unveiled a secret buried deep within him, a gift that had been handed down through generations, now nearly forgotten. He discovered he could understand the language of the storms, summon the winds to either soothe or stir, and mend what had been broken. This realization washed over him, filling him with a mix of wonder and a heavy sense of duty. To harness this gift, he would need a bravery and wisdom that surpassed his years. The storms wouldn't be easily controlled, and the road ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. Yet, Toma understood that he could no longer turn a blind eye to the call. The destiny of the valley, its land, and its people rested on his willingness to embrace the power within him and restore the balance that had been lost to time. Chapter 6, The Tempest's Trial. The sky darkened rapidly as the storm rolled in, fierce winds whipping the trees into a wild dance. Lightning sliced through the clouds with sharp cracks, and thunder rumbled beneath the earth like a warning drumbeat. Toma stood alone on the mountain cliff, the air buzzing with electricity and raw power. With the Thunderbird's voice echoing in his mind, he reached out his hands toward the raging tempest. At first, the winds fought back, wild and chaotic, as if they were testing his determination. His heart raced, but he stood his ground, calling out to the storm with every bit of strength and courage he could muster. The struggle was intense, a fierce clash between human will and nature's wrath. Gradually, the winds began to ease, the lightning flickered less fiercely, and the thunder's roar transformed into a steady, calming rhythm. Toma sensed the storm's fury yielding to tranquility, the ancient balance slowly starting to restore itself. Yet, he understood this was just the beginning of his trials, with many more challenges ahead before the valley could finally breathe easy again. Chapter 7, Feathers and Fire. The spirit of the storm, wild and relentless, surged before Toma in a whirlwind of rage and fire. It confronted him, demanding to see his worth and determination. Toma's heart raced, but he stood his ground, fully aware that his decision would determine the fate of the valley and everyone who called it home. Suddenly, the Thunderbird appeared at his side, its massive wings flapping with a booming cadence. It presented Toma with a choice: to fully embrace the power and become the guardian of the valley, shouldering the weight of both storms and stillness, or to retreat and allow the chaos to reign, leaving the land to endure its suffering. Toma's bravery shone brightly. He accepted the challenge with open arms, feeling a fierce warmth envelop him, as if the storm's fire had merged with his very essence. In that instant, he transformed from just a boy into a protector of balance, tied to the skies by a promise as ancient as time itself. The storm yielded to his strength, and a delicate peace settled over the land. Chapter 8, Skybound Peace. The storm that once loomed over the valley began to dissipate, its rage giving way to a soft breeze that carried the fresh scent of rain and new beginnings. The rivers settled, the fields started to mend, and the people exhaled, their hearts lifted by the return of tranquility. Toma stood at the edge of the mountain, feeling the wind embrace him like a warm cloak. The spirit of the Thunderbird had faded into the clouds, but its strength remained alive within him. He was no longer just a boy, he had become the guardian of the skies, tasked with maintaining the delicate balance between earth and storm. As the sun broke through the clouds, bathing the valley in golden light, Toma realized that his journey was just beginning. The land relied on his strength, his wisdom, and the ancient vow he had taken. With the thunder now transformed into a melody of hope, Toma gazed toward the horizon, ready to confront whatever storms the future had in store. The valley had undergone a profound transformation with the return of the Thunderbird and the bravery of a young boy who chose to listen. Where fear once dominated the skies, a delicate harmony emerged, rooted in understanding and respect. Toma's journey revealed that even the quietest voice can respond to something much larger, highlighting the precious and fragile balance between nature and humanity. The storms would inevitably return, just as they always had, but this time they brought a new significance, not chaos, but a gentle reminder to respect the powerful forces that shape our world. Toma's gift became a connection between the earth and the sky, a promise that the wisdom of the past would illuminate the hopes of the future. And as the seasons changed, the tale of the Thunderbird and the summer storm continued to resonate, carried on the breeze, inspiring all who were willing to listen.